welcome everyone to Odyssey of Enlightenment. I'm Sylvia. Today I'm sharing several different ways to perform releasing rituals so that you can take advantage of this incredible solar eclipse, new moon energetic gateway that we're currently in for the next 6 months. These rituals can be performed at any time, but taking advantage of lunar energy amplifies your efforts so you get more bang for your buck. Now, the first ritual is a salt bath. Now, you can use Epsom salt or you can use sea salt. I like using Epsom salt because it's gentler on your skin and it contains magnesium, and magnesium is a mood booster and a muscle relaxer, so it relaxes you. So you get the added benefits. But sea salt works well too because all salt absorbs negative energy, so it takes all of that off of you and it traps it. So either way, either one, both work. You want to get about 3 handfuls with your right hand and put them into a tub of hot water. Now, you don't necessarily need a bathtub for this. Some people don't have a bathtub. You can use a bucket or a foot spa, just a large container that you can fill with hot water and the Epsom salt, and you can just soak your feet. You don't have to soak your entire body to do this ritual. So you would need a few handfuls if it's a tub. If it's a small container for just your feet, probably just 1 handful. And with your right hand, you're adding it to the water. You want to bless the water and ask the water, verbally ask the water to assist you in releasing whatever it is you need to let go of. You can just make a general statement like that, whatever it is that I need to let go of with ease and grace, joy and comfort, or you can be specific. And if you're struggling with a certain challenge or situation, then be specific and ask the water to assist you to aid in releasing this. You can add crystals to this tub or container of water, any crystals that you feel drawn to. And I like to add rose quartz, crystal quartz, just whatever I have on hand and whatever I feel drawn to amplify the water, amplify the energy, amplify your intentions. And at the same time, your crystals are getting cleared because you're putting them in salt water. So you're cleaning your crystals and you're amplifying your water, and it all works beautifully synergistically to achieve even more than what you're anticipating. So that's one way. And now the next way is the shower release. So you turn on your shower and you bless the water and you call in pure source light. You can visualize pure bright white light coming down through the shower. Imagine it going through every molecule of the water, and ask that this light cleanse, clear, and purify you on every level of your being of any energy less than love. And then you can add other statements if you're struggling with something specific. You can add that. And as you're showering, as you wash with the soap, you can say, I wash away, and whatever it is you're washing away. For instance, I like to wash my face and in the forehead, third eye area. I like to say, I wash away all confusion and I replace it with crystal clear clarity. I wash away all fear and I replace it with love. I wash away all doubt and I replace it with confidence. Or whatever it is. So you're releasing something as you scrub with the soap, and then as you rinse, you're calling in what you're replacing it with. That's the shower release. Now the next one is burning papers. On pieces of paper, you can either use a full length 8x10 piece of paper, and you can write a letter to someone that you might be having an issue with. And on this letter, you want to take full advantage and you want to write all the things you wish you could say. Sometimes when we have these difficult conversations with people, you don't want to be rude, you don't want to amplify the fight, but there's things you really want to say that you're thinking. Maybe you want to cuss them out. Maybe you want to say, you know what, that was really messed up when you XYZ, whatever. And so you have the luxury of saying everything, even if they're absolutely hateful things, but you're getting them out of you, out of your mental body, out of your emotional body, and you're putting them on this paper. Now, as you write, emotions might come up. More than likely, you're going to get triggered, but that's a good thing. You want to cry it out. It doesn't matter. Just keep writing and releasing all of that. Now, do not read the letter. Once you've written it and you've cried it out, don't go back and read it, because you don't want to reabsorb that negativity. So you're going to write it out on the piece of paper, roll it up, and then you want to take it to either a fireplace, a fire pit, some fireproof, fire safe area, maybe a sink or an aluminum metal bowl perhaps, or outside. But if you do it outside, make sure you wet the ground, make sure you're ready with water handy in case, anything gets out of control, you're prepared. So make sure you have all your tools before you start. And you want to set fire to the letter, or on the piece of paper, you can write an issue, something that you want to release. For instance, you can say, I now release poverty consciousness. I now release any contracts that keep me in poverty. And then on the opposite side, you want to write what you're replacing it with. So if you're releasing poverty, then you could replace it with financial abundance, financial wealth, financial stability, financial freedom. And now after you've written either your letter or your thing that you're releasing, and then the other thing that you're invoking, you want to roll it up and you want to set fire to it. So you're lighting it, you're setting fire to the paper. And as the paper lights, you're going to declare, I forgive myself, I forgive everyone involved, and I now release this to Mother, Father, God. So you're letting it go. It's done. Don't think about it. If it pops up in your head, imagine it floating away like a balloon. It's gone. It's released. That's the past. And that's the burning papers ritual. The next one is a 7-day glass candle. I think they're called either 7-day or 9-day novena candles. So they're the glass candles, the ones that they have with the deities on the glass, but you don't want the ones with the deities. Get the plain ones that just have glass. Now they come in different colors. It doesn't matter what color you get, whatever color you feel called to, or whatever they have, it doesn't matter. So you want to get a 7-day glass candle and a Sharpie. It has to be a Sharpie, a permanent marker, so that it writes on the glass. Regular markers don't write on the glass, and you can't see them or they smudge right away. Now the Sharpie might smudge while it's still fresh when you initially write on it, so try not to touch it as you're writing. Try to be careful not to put your finger on what you've written. That way it can stay on the glass. So on the glass, you want to write anything that you're letting go of, whatever it is that you're releasing, and then you want to write whatever is you're invoking to replace it, something positive. Then you light the candle. Now you can write many things, just fill up the whole glass, and then you can say thank you, and then light the candle and leave it burning in a fire safe spot. And you're just going to leave it burning continuously until the candle burns out and completes itself. That finishes the ritual. The next one is you can go for a walk in nature. And as your feet hit the ground, as you consciously connect to Mother Earth, release to her anything that you're needing to release, any past stories or anything that no longer positively serves you, any specific issues, challenges, and then call in and invoke new and better to replace it. You can be specific, you can be general. And so you're giving it to her. You're giving her all that you're letting go. Ask her to transmute it on your behalf, and then call in and invoke specifically what you'd like, or just say new and better to replace it. The next one is climbing steps. So standing at the bottom of a stairway, You're going to declare that you're now leaving behind all of the old stories, any specific issues, people, situations, challenges, mindsets, beliefs, anything you may be struggling with. You're leaving it all behind you. And as you climb your first foot on the first step, you're going to call in and invoke new and better to replace it. I now reclaim and recreate my life in a higher way. And then you can get specific about what you would like to call in to replace it, that specifically connects to what you're releasing. So essentially the opposite. So say if you're releasing obesity, maybe you could say total health, physical fitness, my ideal physical shape, my ideal physical size, specifically whatever issue that you're working with. Or if you're releasing a person, you could say, I now release all attachments, cords, connections to, say the name, and then you can invoke and call in, I reclaim and recreate my relationship with, say the name, in a higher way. Or if you don't want the relationship at all, then just say new and better. And new and better is pretty general, and it will bring you the best of whatever is meant for you specifically, because it's new and better. Now, one of the other ones that I've come across in having my own sessions with other healers, I worked with a shaman. His name is Shaman Jon, and I had a wonderful experience, and I highly recommend him. And he calls this the mythic toilet. It's essentially what you're flushing down energetic waste, pretty much what you don't want, what we're doing with all the other rituals, but you're calling it a mythic toilet. So in his version, he asks you to collect stones, just regular rocks from outside, probably no bigger than a quarter and no smaller than a nickel. So in between the size of a nickel and a quarter. And in these stones, you're gonna say to the stone, you're going to speak into it what it is that you're releasing, and you blow it into the stone. So the stone holds it for you, and then you return the stones back to the earth when you're finished, and you're releasing it to Mother Earth for her to transmute. Then he calls for a branch or a feather, something that you can burn, and that represents the death arrow, he calls it. Now, he has a lot of information on his website where he gets specifically into how to do the mythic toilet, and I have my modified version from that. So with the death arrow, in his version, you burn the death arrow, and that signifies, or it represents, all of the stones that you've released, and you set fire to that twig, and that represents all of the old stuff that you're letting go of. And as the branch burns, so does everything that you're releasing. So in my modified version, I take a paper plate, because honestly, when I started, at first when he said, okay, so you're going to have this mythic toilet, and you're going to get these stones, and you're going to, blow into them anything that you're releasing. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, what am I going to release? And it was challenging initially when I thought of what am I going to release. Once I got started, let me tell you, I had a mountain. I couldn't stop. There was so much, because it's like you're unraveling when you pull the string. It's like, oh my God, there's so much here, and this and this and that person and that situation and this belief and this idea and this way of being, and all these things started coming up. So I highly recommend this, and it's a great visual, because it makes it very tangible and physical. Like, whoa, I am doing something, It's not just words. You can see the physical representation of the thing that you're releasing. And this is a beautiful way, to really celebrate the eclipse energy, because it's so, I don't know, it's so magical to do something that shamans do, that the Native Americans did, that the Peruvians did, and all these tribesmen for our ancestors. And it's just such a beautiful way, and it's really helpful to you and your path, because you are proactively releasing. You're saying, okay, I know I need to let go of all of this crap, and you're really going above and beyond by doing things like this, because you're helping the energy, you're steering the energy into what specifically you want to get rid of. And that's very helpful, because it makes you feel very empowered. It reminds you that you are powerful, that you have power, and you don't feel like a victim. Because sometimes when this eclipse energy comes around and you get like blindsided by stuff, which doesn't mean that stuff isn't gonna pop up out of nowhere. We're also in Uranus energy, so things that you never expected might happen. But don't be afraid of that, because that means if weird stuff that you don't want can happen, then magical stuff can happen too. So I choose to focus on that, on the miracles. And this is huge miracle energy, so take advantage of it. So my modified version of the mythic toilet is I get a paper plate, and on little pieces of paper, no bigger than a Post-it, I write specifically whatever issues I want to release. So on some of them, like I'm working on a lot of family issues. So on one of them, I wrote my dad's name. And then I put all the issues, like just a word representing all the things that I dealt with him, like, sexual abuse, trauma, neglect, whatever. And I wrote it all on there. And then, so I'm releasing that. And those are the issues I'm releasing. And then, so I turn the paper over, and on the other side, I write what I want to replace that with. So I just put unconditional love. So those are for people. For people, you write their name and any issues that you're dealing with them. And then on the other side, you can just write unconditional love. And that's a good, all-encompassing thing to put, because it's very positive. There's nothing more positive than love. And then you take the stone and you speak all the things that you wrote on the paper that you're releasing into the stone, and you blow it into the stone. And then you also speak what you're calling in, and you blow it into the stone. And then you take the paper, the little paper that you wrote the stuff on, and you wrap it around the stone. And kind of like a baked potato when you wrap it with foil, like that. And then you add it to a paper plate. So you're putting all these stones with the paper wrapped around them that you've written on. And you can also put, things that you want to release. Say you want to release, confusion. So you write confusion. And then on the other side, you write clarity, or whatever you want to replace it with. And you wrap up the stones. And trust me, you will find so many things to release and so many things to call in. It's incredible, and it's very therapeutic, and it makes you really investigate, like, wow, I've been through so much, I've survived, and I'm amazing, and you become really proud of yourself, because look at all the adversity that you've overcome. Look at what a badass you are, and it's very exciting. So you take all of these stones and you put them on the paper plate, you collect them, and then you leave them there overnight. So with my version, I did do the death arrow. I have a twig. I currently have them in my fireplace now. And I just put a little skinny twig in the middle to represent the death arrow. So keeping in line with how he described it, he just had the stones, and then he had the death arrow. But I added the paper plate and the pieces of paper. And so at the end, when you want to release everything, which I'm waiting overnight on the eclipse, and I'm going to, on the day of the eclipse, I'm going to burn everything. So what you do is you return those stones to Mother Earth. You ask her to transmute it on your behalf. And then you keep the papers, and you keep the paper plate, and you keep the death arrow. So I'm going to light the death arrow, which is the twig, and then set fire to the pieces of paper and the paper plate, just all of it, burn it together in a fireplace. Again, do this in a fireproof, fire-safe area. Make sure you have all your tools, whatever you need, ready for when you're going to work, because you don't want to be interrupted. You want to be, very intentional and focused when you're doing this kind of work. and you burn all of it together. Now, if the twig doesn't ignite, because sometimes they don't ignite right away, you can maybe start burning the papers first with the paper plate and then add the twig to all that other stuff and just let it all burn out completely. If you're doing this outside, make sure you pour water on the embers so you don't have any brush fires or any issues. Try to use fire safety, please, so that you can have a safe and happy eclipse. Now, anytime you're releasing or letting go, clearing things, you want to replace that space left with something positive. You want to be the one deciding what to fill it with. So make sure that you state what you want to replace it with. Now, you can be specific, or you can invoke and call in new and better to replace it. You can also ask that any voids and any level of your being be filled with unconditional love and light. This way you're being deliberate and standing in your power. And you can use all three if you'd like. You can be specific, you can say new and better to replace it, and you can ask that any voids be filled with love and light, or unconditional love and light. This way you're dictating and being very deliberate what you want. I hope this was helpful to you. Please modify any of these in your unique way if you feel called to, with whatever resonates the most for you. Please share in the comments below any releasing or clearing rituals that you use. Thanks so much for co-creating this Odyssey of Enlightenment with me. Until next time, I'm Sylvia.